Hi, this presentation is about mass communications and about what we are going to try to do in the remainder of the time that we have together this semester. And as you all know, we've been forced together by this COVID-19 situation, and we're doing the best we can. This was, these three, really quickly, this was a link and it doesn't work, to a release from Senator Markey's office talking about gig economy workers, people like waitresses and artists and others who kind of get paid they get paid for the work they do. They might work multiple jobs, and he was talking about relief in the congressional relief package that was just signed, having to do with COVID-19. That is part of the media. There is a lot of media that is going on right now, and there are a lot of messages being shared. An awful lot of it is about COVID-19 and the current situation. It's not unlike when there's a snowstorm and all of the coverage is about the snowstorm, and all of the TV news people are out with their umbrellas and their slickers, and they're all getting covered with snow, and they're at the beach and wherever else, and that's all you're seeing is coverage of this. For two reasons. One is that this is a pressing public story, and two is that there's not much else going on. People aren't meeting face to face. There's the courts aren't in session. Except for emergency things. You can't get a loan except by appointment. As we take the social distancing seriously, life has slowed down so much that they're really digging for stories, and most of the stories are about COVID-19, including this one, which is the Essex County Community Foundation. In response to the pandemic, they've created a new artist fund to support local artists during this time. And as you can see, there's this is an email from the communications person trying to get a little bit of coverage for the fund. This is a longer one. This was kind of sent blind. The first two came from people I knew. This one came from somebody that I don't know, and I'm guessing they just sent it to a list with 1 million emails on it, and they're just hoping somebody picks it up. But this is about responsible investing. So there's a trend, or there's a national story, which is the shutdown of our the self-isolation and the shutdown of so much of the economy. And he knows that people are looking for this PR guy knows that they're looking for stories. So he's pushing the idea of responsible investing for his company, which does responsible investing. This is a much longer press release, but I shortened it up for this purpose. These are some sponsored ads. People are trying to get their message out. So what they do is they sponsor ads, which means that they pay X amount of money to get coverage within a certain radius, whatever radius they pick. This is from Billerica Auto Parts. And I got it, and I live in Beverly, so that's a pretty big radius that they decided to sponsor ads for, and they're promoting small business. So this helps them directly, and it helps their brethren as well. And you're seeing a lot of these ads out now, a lot of them for restaurants, telling you, if you've got a favorite restaurant, buy a gift certificate. It'll help keep them in business. It's a real thing, wanting to keep them in business, and it's I don't know if it's an effective means of advertising or using mass communication, but obviously there's a lot of it out there right now, and the message is pretty simple: support us and support people like us. This is trying to get people to click. This is clickbait. They're trying to get you to click, and they're figuring people are at home. They're on the computer, they're bored. What better time to get them involved? This is from Salem Inc., which is not a printing press company, but a tattoo parlor, and they're temporarily out of business. They just want to let people know they're still there, and hey, we're a part of the community. You see a lot of these from, coincidentally, I have seen it from Chinese restaurants, but there are probably from a lot of restaurants that are saying, hey, we're shut down except for takeout, which is telling people, hey, we're still open for takeout. And a lot of restaurants, they're just trying to stay alive right now and stay viable. And one of the ways they do it is to really, really push themselves in the media. Oops, I think I might have skipped one. Okay, I'm a little bit off. Hold on. This is from Fred Hirsch. He's a musician, and every day at 1 o'clock he goes on, and a lot of people who are artists and musicians and comedians, they're going on every day. Some go on at a certain time. I know Steve Donovan, who's a radio disc jockey. He goes on every day, I think at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, and he does just, a kind of a podcast type of a thing. And Fred Hirsch plays music. And there's a group called Studio 2 that's a Beatles tribute, and they did a live concert. And other people have done live concerts. So there have been interesting things that people have done, and they're trying to do it online. And I guess there's two things about it. One is that they maintain a connection with their audience by doing this, and they keep themselves relevant. But then the other thing that I think a lot of these people do is they're hoping to expand their audience base because, again, they know where people are. They're at their computers. They're trying to kill time waiting for this to pass, and they're more likely, the thinking goes, they're more likely to click. They'll see this Fred Hirsch play his, I think he's a pianist, but I'm not certain. But they'll see him play. They'll think, hey, this guy's great, and then they'll be more likely maybe to go out and catch his act. So it's a little bit of advertising. It's definitely promotion, and as you can see, it's a sponsored post. Northern Essex Community College, they circulated a video online, and they circulated it in the social media as well, and they sent it to the teachers directly, and it was all about, letting students know that you don't have to be anxious about being an online student. Here are the best ways to study online, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea is that they're trying to relieve student anxiety, and they also want to give students some tips for success. They're also trying to retain students, and that's a big thing right now for any school, but particularly with the fact that people's sense of time and sense of time has been altered a little bit, and I think there is a concern that a lot of students will drop out rather than go online for classes. So your assignment for Thursday will be to bring in an example of a mass communications message relating to COVID-19 for the Thursday class. At this point, you're not going to have to write anything. Probably on Thursday, I'll tell you to put it in the to upload it to the discussion board along with a paragraph about what it is. So I'd like to see that on Thursday, but bring it to class and you'll just have something you printed out that you can kind of hold up and talk about. Also on Thursday, I have a friend named Dana J. Bine who wrote a song called Coronavirus Rhapsody that went viral. And he got featured basically all over the world with this. And he's going to come in to talk about his experience going viral in a huge way, including the fact that somebody tried to rip him off and sell T-shirts without giving him any credit or any money. All right, now moving to the schedule for the rest of the class for us. Let's talk a little bit about the description of the course. This, you can pause the screen and read if you'd like. But basically, I think we've hit most of this so far. I think we're in a pretty good position. I think I want to lean a little more on the history of some of the mass media industries. But basically, I think we're okay. And it's a good time for us to have to go online. Secondly, as you see, here are the course requirements. Again, you might want to stop this and take a closer look if you want to read it. But basically, I think everyone's done a pretty good job at this point, and we're in good position for the second half of the class. There are a few things I want to work on, but we're doing pretty well. I have changed this a tiny bit, and I wish I had the old version so I could tell you exactly where the changes are. I think I took 10 points off of one area and put it into class participation, but I'm not positive. But you've done your media diaries, you've done your midterm, you've done your class discussion and participation. We're going to talk about the research paper and the final presentation in just a second, and then we've got an exam at the end of the class. So the final assignments, which is the research paper and the online report, are fairly short. 5-page research paper plus a reference page. No, the 5 pages does not include the title page or a table of contents if you choose to use a table of contents. It's 5 pages, double-spaced, 12 size 12 font, plus a page of references at the end. And then a 3 to 5 minute online report on some aspect of the current public health crisis and the media. You can look in the way the media has responded in politics, in the way the media has responded in government, artists, businesses, fictionalized account of the media. And I think what I'm going to do too is on Blackboard, I'm going to post a copy, if I can find one, of a Edgar Allan Poe poem from about the plague, the Black Death. I think it's or the Red Death. I'll have to think this over. It's been a while, but I'll publish that, or I'll link that, and hopefully that will be interesting. But it'll give you a sense of how the media reflects society and how it impacts society and how it can lead the discussion. So that's what your paper is going to be about. We're also going to have you do an online report about that. And here's our schedule going forward. This week, we're going to be all about coronavirus in the media and all the ways that the media has used coronavirus for content, how it's warned people about various things, how it's kind of reflected what we're going through as a society. Then next week, we're going to do a history of media industries, going to try and bring you up to speed on some of those. And then a documentary on April 14th and 16th that week. I'll probably just put the documentary link online, and maybe I'll write a little bit about it for you, or maybe we'll talk about it on the 8th. But basically on April 14th to 16th, you'll be watching One Nation Under Stress, which is a great documentary by CNN. It's not about the coronavirus. It's about stress-related illnesses and death in the United States. And it identifies the problem, and it presents the problem with different faces and different facets of the problem. And I think it's a really well-done documentary and a good example of the modern documentary where the narrator actually takes a role in the story a little bit and also obviously approaches a public health issue from a number of sides. So I think it's an effective documentary. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Then finally, April 21, we'll get into the presentations and the research papers. We'll do a review of the final on May 4th, and then the final will be presented online from May 5th to May 11th. And that is our review. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you on Thursday.